This, my friend, is a pint. It comes in pints.
Oh.
I can get you one.
You've had a whole half already!
Hey YouTubers, happy Homebrew Wednesday. So I'm here brewing my extra precious ESB. Precious, like I said my last Homebrew Wednesday, because of my wife and I's love for the Lord of the Rings books and movies. I had a little struggle, as you may have seen in the beginning of the match, where my last brew in the bag with the dark sour, I was able to just dump all the grains in slowly and then mix it in. I didn't get much dough balls. But when since I ground the grains milled the grains for this one twice and formed this huge dough ball. So I had to shut off the camera and spend like 10 minutes breaking up all the dough balls. And then I thought that using my SS kettle would bring me towards, not having to keep checking the temperature and the thermometer on my pot, but I still had to really babysit it to keep it at in my range between 150 and 153 to keep it like dry but not too dry of a beer. So I have a little of my last bit of my IPA, so I'll cheers you and then I'll talk a little more. So the beer is just coming up to a boil. I'm waiting for it to pass hot break, and then I'll start the 60-minute boil count. So just to give a wrap up of the mash, say how it's going. So what I did was, some people say you can squeeze the bag, some people say you don't. So what I did was I applied light pressure, and I still realized that I was about a quarter of a gallon or so short after I finished draining the bag. So I heated up 4 cups or almost a liter of water, and I sparged the grains. And I got like 6.45 gallons instead of 6.5. But in terms of pre-boil gravity, for some reason I have to recalibrate my beersmith for brewing the bag. But it was saying like my target pre-boil was the same as my target post-boil. But for all intents and purposes, as I'll show you in the picture here that I took, my camera, like I usually do, my pre-boil gravity at about 6.45 to 6.5 gallons, and that range was 1054, so like only 5 points off my target post boil. So I definitely most likely got great efficiency. We'll see what Beersmith, based on the parameters that I have in it now, says what my overall final gravity is, my final brewhouse efficiency is. Sorry for rambling, skipping over words. I'm just trying to pay attention to the boil. So we'll see what happens at the end, whether it goes from 1054 to 1064 or it stays more like at 160. But ideally I don't really like to add water, and I think I did make a big enough yeast starter where Beersmith told me just about a liter, so I did a little over a liter, and it's pretty fresh yeast, and I know that Beersmith does overestimate the viability of the yeast or underestimate the viability of the yeast, because I'm brewing this on February 29th or 28th, and the packaging date was on the 3rd, so it's really only 25 days old. So it's pretty damn fresh yeast. So I'm not too worried about that. So overall, beyond the usual, mash and sparge management nervousness or complications that I sometimes run into, I was able to recover, hit a good pre-boil gravity, and now I can go on with the 60-minute boil. So cheers you again, and I'll see you with the rest of the footage. YouTubers. Just filming this last wrap up to the brew day with my phone because I can't find my camera battery charger and it ran out of battery. So I'm sorry for the fuzziness of the video in my kitchen. I'm filming in my kitchen in a low light. But I just poured on myself a little bit of my Belgian house beer, so cheers. So good. But, so, just to wrap up brew day, what ended up happening is, as I predicted, although I said in the pre-boil clip that my pre-boil gravity was at 1054, 1055, once the refractometer cooled down, and I took another reading, it was more like 1057. So post-boil, after not diluting, I ended up with 1065, which is about 6 points over my target of 1058, 1059. So for the style, it's way over, because according to Beersmith, it goes up to 1059, at least from the older guidelines, which I'm continuing to use for now, on Beersmith. And therefore, if it gets down to about 1014, 1015, it'll be more of like a 6.5, 6.6% beer instead of like a 5.5% beer. But he really didn't want to dilute it post-boil, just because all that flavor and all the good, compounds from the hops and the malts that I achieved during the boil and the mash, I didn't want to dilute those. So I decided to go ahead and just say, this is my first test for a brew, my second test in a row for brewing the bag. This time I double milled the grains. So now I know that as long as I follow the procedures I did today, I can set my Beersmith for brewing the bag to about 75%, and hope that things go smoothly enough that I either hit my target or go just a bit over. So one last thing actually that I wanted to point out, which I didn't point out last week, is if you see here on my fridge, I have my ribbon for this year's, for 2016, Homebrew Alley, which is the homebrew competition that I've entered the past couple of years, and I got the 2016 ribbon for my barley wine. So before my shoulder gives out, I'll wish you a happy Homebrew Wednesday. Maybe I'll film another clip, but otherwise, I'll cheers you out on this Sunday brew day, and I'll see you soon.